All right, guys, welcome back to another TA Tech News Weekly. I'm your host, TA Tech. We're here with Ike's Tech Talk. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up, man?
How are
Um,
you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good
Nice,
to have
nice.
you
Well,
on, man.
thanks for having me. It's an honor, man. It's an honor. It's an honor and a privilege. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Listen, I've been watching your content, your videos, your streams, and I love the energy. And I said, I want to have different people on, not just the
Okay.
same people. And I'm like, let me reach out to this dude because I really think he's gonna be a good fit. Um, and yeah, man.
I
What
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
uh, like I said to you backstage, I love watching your content.
Mhm.
Um, I think you're one of a kind creator out there. Seriously, man. Seriously.
I'll take it as a compliment. I'm just playing.
Man,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Wow, it's crazy.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, we gotta give credit where credit's due, man.
Man.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started
Oh
your YouTube
wow.
channel?
You're taking me back. Oh man. Sorry. Pollen count here in Florida. I'll just say it for everybody because they're like, why is he crying? Pollen count here in Florida is at an all-time high right now. So
Ooh.
allergies is in like full effect. I just took like 2 allergy pills, so hopefully they kick
Oh
in rather
God.
quickly. But yeah, so if you see my eyes watering, y'all, I promise everything's cool. Just pollen count is like super high right now. If I hadn't taken those 2 pills, like half my face would be swollen. But anyway,
Oh damn.
to answer your question, so that's one I get a lot. And I'll answer it obviously the same way. I started with YouTube, man, just to really form I won't even necessarily say like form a community, but for me, it was about finding people that I could talk to in real life and stuff like that about
Yeah.
tech. One of the things about me that not a lot of people know, I don't have anyone in like my normal circle of like close friends that is like super into tech the way that like we are and stuff. So
Yep.
for me, I have like a lot of this, and I guess like that's where a lot of people say like the energy comes from. It's the passion. Like I have a passion for this stuff.
Right.
And I had really no one to talk about that with, to share that with. So kind of the motivation for me was to start something just to build, something for people who were in my situation.
Right.
And once I did that, it was like I met these people, made great connections, built rapport and relationships. It was kind of easy for me to just fade back a little bit because for me, it was never about trying to get a bunch of likes and people subscribing and
Right.
stuff like that. For me, it was just about finding people who like the same stuff that I did, who I could
Yeah.
get excited because we're getting a slightly bigger sensor, stuff like that, man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's honestly what
So
it's always been about for me.
how long have you been on YouTube for?
Oh man.
Well, channel wise, I know we've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
watching YouTube every day.
Yeah, exactly. So channel wise, I want to say I started what 2022. I want to say it's maybe been like
Gotcha.
3 or 4 years, like 3 or 4 years altogether.
Yep.
Haven't posted anything or been live lately or anything like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I want to say overall it's been about 3 or 4 years, somewhere around there. So
Oh
it's been a
wow.
little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
I've been so for me it's
Mhm.
been about 7,
Oh
on
wow,
and
okay.
off, on and
Yeah,
off.
that's me right now, on and off.
There's been times where, and I still go through it.
Mhm.
You know, eh, I get these things where I'm just demotivated. Don't want to do much. Because I try to put out as much content as I can. I, do
Mhm.
the best that I can, and sometimes the views are just not there.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's such a downfall for me,
Yeah.
mentally and whatnot.
N-
Um,
Yeah,
but
and just to add to that, sorry to cut you off, but
no, no,
that's a super valid point that I think a lot of the times you hear a lot of like, you gotta push through, you gotta do this and that and that's and that and third. And I think what you said is really valid because a lot of the times when I'm in those type of funks, I'm a type of person, man. Like if I get frustrated with something or just not in the right place with it, I don't want to do it. I
Yeah.
would rather take a
Yes.
step back. And that's kind of, to be 100% honest, like where I'm at with it now. Like that
Yeah.
fire, that passion, that like, I won't say the passion, but the fire to make content. I still love buying stuff, as people can see. One plus, I still love buying stuff. So my wallet ain't safe, but
Man,
you know,
man.
the whole passion as far as like, you know, cutting on the camera and recording and like that is really just not there for me anymore, to be 100% honest. You know, plus with work makes it really tough to make that time.
Yeah. See,
But I find the best thing in
yep.
those situations is to do what you do. Take a step back. Like
Yeah.
YouTube, for most of us, I won't say for all of us, but for most of us, it's not a job, dude. It's not a job, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be treating it like it is until we decide to make it our job, you know?
Yeah. 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 That's so true. And I'm trying to get somewhere
Mhm.
with my channel. I'm at like 600 and almost 10 subscribers right
You're
now.
on the way. Yeah.
So I'm like getting there, but it's like so it again, no motivation sometimes
Mhm.
because I see these other people who have been on YouTube for like 1 to 2, 3 years and
Yeah.
they're blowing up, and me, I'm like, well, I'll stay down here again.
Yeah, I get you,
you
man, and
know?
and I could definitely understand like that thought process. I know for me, I was kind of one of the ones who came in like right around Z Fold time, so
Yeah,
I knew I was getting it, and that like rocketed, you know, my channel for the most part.
yeah,
But no, I totally get where, like I said, where you're coming from, because that would be kind of defeating, you know, to not
right,
see it. A
right.
piece of advice that Jay Will gave me. That's a name I know a lot of people haven't heard in a long time. But Jay
Ooh,
Will, a piece of advice when I first started, because he was one of the first people to like ever really like reach out and talk to me. Like I was
yeah,
reaching out to people and honestly like wasn't getting much in terms of like responses and stuff like that. He was like the
that's
first
me,
person
man.
that, yeah, like he was like honestly the first person that like really took me serious, like dead seriously took me serious.
Yeah.
And it was through him that I met like Gigi and LaShawn and got connected with them. And then then through them, I met like, you know, Galen from being in Airstreams, and me and Galen text pretty regularly, like
Oh,
outside of
that's
tech. Like we
awesome.
just be following each other in life. Like, hey, you know, everything good on that. And we slacking lately. We,
Yeah.
we, we, we haven't been communicating as much because I'm busy. He's super busy. He just got married. So shout out to him.
Oh, shoot.
But
Okay.
yeah, he just got married end of last year. But yeah, so it's definitely one of those things,
I'm
man, where the best advice that he gave me was, you know, don't treat it like a job because it's not your job yet. And number two, you know, the bigger one is if you ever get to the point where, you know, you're not having fun, you're feeling that, step away, step
yeah,
away, step
yeah.
away versus trying to
And,
force yourself to put out something that you're putting
and
out just to go through the motions, you know?
yeah. And honestly, you grow either way.
Yeah.
I really feel like there are a lot of channels that I watch that are still growing and they're not
Mhm.
producing the content. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing.
And
Uh,
sometimes, I mean, it could depend on what type of content they put out. Cause like I could say for me, like evergreen content, you know, we hear a lot of that term evergreen.
yeah,
Evergreen content does work. Like I have still people that drop comments on case videos that I did on like the Z Fold 5, on the Pixel
dude,
8
I'm
Pro
still
last year. So the
yeah,
evergreen content does definitely help. It does work, especially if you're planning on doing like an on and off kind of
yeah.
thing. I know live
I'm still
streams also help with
getting
that too.
I'm still getting comments on videos I did like 5, 6 years ago sometimes. It's like,
You never
um,
know when someone's gonna
and,
pick up a video.
and that's the thing. Like, I think the YouTube algorithm is a little crazy right now because I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of my content that, like I said, 5, 6, 7 years ago
Mhm.
is growing now and getting the views now,
Yeah,
and my
versus
new stuff,
before.
yeah, versus before, and now my new content is still, you know, very low, and I'm
I hear
like,
you.
"Bro."
I hear you. I hear you.
But right now, I actually, and I don't know how well it's gonna help out, but um, right now, I just did between yesterday and today, um, changed a couple of my thumbnails,
Mhm.
um, couple of my
Experiment.
titles and stuff. Going back, I went back like uh, to the beginning 7 years
Mhm.
ago, and I'm like, because I'm like, there were a couple videos I got like 2 views, and then the video that I got the most was one of my first ones about I think it was my first iPad that I got, and that
Okay.
got like 15K views, and I'm just like, wow,
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not
you
surprised.
know,
Apple's definitely one of those. You drop something, and
yeah,
honestly, I will say that that depends on the channel too. Because for me,
true,
for example, I kind of built my following not so much around like the Apple side, but just I know Samsung has always been big, Pixel's always been big for my channel
yeah,
too. So it kind of just is finding out what it is that your audience is interested in seeing, kind of thing too.
yeah,
But also at the same time, you know, trying not to really pigeonhole yourself. I know a lot of people talk about like niching down and
yeah,
stuff like that. And if you're trying to like really like grow and turn this into, you know, business and a brand and all
right,
those, like,
right,
yes, absolutely. Like, you know, shout out to T, technically T, he's like one of the gurus with that stuff, man. Cause
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
we've watched him do it. But I know for me, like that's never been my journey, my MO. So I
yep,
look at it from the standpoint of, you know, it is tough to not see what other people are doing. Like it's very tough to kind of get that tunnel vision and just focus on your grind and what you're doing.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, man, like everybody's story is different, you know. And I told
absolutely,
MPT, or MPT, good grief, I can't talk tonight. I told him the same thing a long time ago, you know,
yeah,
everybody's journey is different. You know, what works for
absolutely,
me isn't going to work
absolutely.
for you. What works for you may not work for me. So, you
I
know.
actually I actually have a group chat on WhatsApp with MPT and a couple other
Mhm.
people, trying to get the
And just
community
encourage each other and just encourage each other. You know, maybe you're
exactly.
feeling down and he can, you know, help, you know, pull you back up. So that's
Yeah,
always good,
exactly.
dude.
Yeah,
That's
he's a
always
good
good.
dude. He's a good dude.
Awesome.
I gotta get him back on. But like I said, I've been trying to get some people that, um, you know, that are not as known and
Yeah.
people, who have inspired me to be where I am
Mhm.
today. Um, Reaching out to people is the hard part. It's like I don't know where to reach out to them, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
And yeah, and I mean to be honest, I wish I had an answer. I've been lucky with some, and then
yeah,
others, man. Like you just you know, and there I'm not gonna say you know any name because I don't want
yeah, no,
you know
absolutely,
the preconceived notion to be that you know that person isn't the one to collab or that person's rude because a lot of
yeah,
the times, man, like I'll even sometimes have people reach out to me that I don't know, and I'm the type like if I don't necessarily know who you are, like I will politely, you know, just reject, you know, whatever. Just because, like I said, I don't want to. I'm not a fake or a fake the funk type of person. If I'm
right,
not, you know, if I don't think I would be a good fit for what it is you're talking about or discussing, I won't even, you know, waste that person's time.
right.
But you know, sometimes people are just, you know, really busy. Like I reached out to a couple content creators. Like I'll never forget. I will drop this name because it was pretty awesome. But I
Oh,
reached out to Josh Quinones, and he's not even
ooh,
like super massive, but he's great.
yeah,
I love Josh. I love his content. He really puts the devices through their
that's
paces. He's
awesome.
from a the thing I love about him, he's from a real world perspective. I'm so
Yep,
tired of hearing about benchmarks and stuff like that. I
yep,
want to know how
yep,
it works real world. That's my thing, real world. You don't got to get super technical, but tell me in the real world how it works. And he's always been about that. So I actually reached out to him and it took like, I want to say weeks, but I finally
yeah,
got a response back. And I think when I reached out, it was like, you know, I was just starting out. I was like, hey, I'm a big fan of your channel. I know you probably get tons of these emails. I was fanboying
yep,
like crazy.
yep.
I was like, you know, hey,
Bro, I
here's the channel. Could you take a peek and give me some feedback? It took him a
yeah,
couple of weeks, but he did. He did. He gave me some really solid advice. So shout out to Josh. Appreciate that.
just a note to my editor, you might wanna, bleep out the names that I'm about to say.
Oh
Um,
man, you dropping names about to get me in trouble.
uh, but I've reached out to people like I'm not sure if you know, Nikias Molina, um,
I think I've heard of her.
Talos of Tech,
Taylor
uh,
of Tech is I like Drew.
dude,
He's my
Drew,
guy. He's
awesome.
funny. He's fun. Like he's one of the not to cut you off. He's one of the only like he does some Android stuff here and there, but he's pretty much pure Apple. He's
Yeah,
one of the
and he's like me.
him Zolo Tech and Brandon Butch are
Yep.
the only like 3 full-blown Apple channels that I still to this day watch.
Yeah.
Because they're so good, man.
Yeah.
I
I
get that they're
love.
biased, but I love those guys. They're super in depth. Yeah,
Yeah.
love them. Love them.
I love how Taylor Swift is now doing those skits before his
The
videos.
skits for yeah, I love the
Man,
skits, dude. Like
dude,
you
they are
gotta find
amazing.
some type of like not gimmick, because it's not a gimmick, it's fun, but like some type
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
thing. Like I know for a
Absolutely.
while when I was thinking about coming back, I don't know if you play, but I know a lot of people are playing Pokemon Pocket TCG. So my thing, and I know I'm saying this live, so somebody's gonna steal this. It's okay. But my thing was gonna be holding on to a pack and opening a pack on stream. So
Ooh,
that way, or not on stream, but opening the pack at the end of the video. So it's like,
yeah,
some people would come just to see what I get in my pack that day, that
do
type of
it.
thing. So yeah, if I ever decide to come back, I'm guess I need to go patent that idea. But yeah, like just to do something different, because
Yeah,
everybody's just cutting on the camera. And that's why I focus so much, with watching YouTube on real world experience, because I don't want to get I don't want to get into a video and hear people reading off of a spec sheet or talking about how they tested it with this benchmark or that benchmark. Like I understand why benchmarks are important. It gives you a rough idea, but I'm always about real world usage. Like if somebody tells me, hey, this performed this way in my real world usage, I'm more inclined to kind of latch onto that than somebody saying, hey, I ran this super controlled, benchmark test. This is why this phone or this PC or this whatever is not good. So I don't know.
right.
It's a kind of a me thing, I guess. But yeah, man,
Yeah,
Talos was awesome. I like him.
yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So when it came to my channel,
Mhm,
those were the people that got me going
mhm.
and inspired me to start doing this. Because I used to watch Taylor all the time, Nikki
Same.
Espolita, and just every creator. Like when I first got my Apple Watch,
Mhm.
okay, I started watching them because I was like, I want to know their experience and different things. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to open my own channel and tell people my experiences as well. And not even that, but like maybe make videos about a certain problem that I'm having or whatever,
Mhm.
and see what people say about that.
Mhm.
Um, but then I saw how people were doing things and how people manage their channels and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'm taking it this route. And to this day, man, I love it. I love it. Like I
Yeah.
said, the community that you build makes a whole difference. I've actually reached out to like um Talos of Tech and a few
Mhm.
others. And Talos it took a while. It took a
Mhm.
while, but he eventually answered. And the funny story is about that. I'm cleaning out my Twitter DMs because I'm
Mhm.
like
I need to go
cluttered
do
with
that.
things.
I need to go do
Oh,
that.
dude, like I was trying to find something and I'm like, I can't find it. So start deleting things. And I go to delete the DM that I had sent to him
Mhm.
probably like 6 months prior. And he actually answered at that moment. And I'm like, wait,
Oh
what?
wow.
I'm like, whoa,
It was fate. It was fate.
dude. I'm like, okay. So he's like, yeah, that would be cool. I got him on. It was a lot of fun. I had a live stream with him. We've had a podcast episode on another podcast that I used to do
Oh, nice.
with my friend Benobi Tech.
Mhm.
Um and bro, like it's awesome. Like I said,
And
you
I,
gotta
I I I could totally see him doing that, because I know for him, he remembers what it was like. Because I still
yes.
remember, and anybody who like watches him will remember too. I remember when he got MKBHD on to interview for the first
Yes.
time. I remember how big of a deal that was for him. So I
Dude,
definitely could see him doing that. That's definitely much respect to him for that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's some creators, again, not mentioning any names,
Mhm.
that I've talked to and that made me feel like I was just a nobody, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just like, we all start at zero. Just because you're at a certain level and that's your job,
Mm-hmm.
um, you shouldn't make people who are just starting off, feel bad or feel like
Yeah.
they're absolutely nothing. You
I
know?
agree. I agree. Because like I said, I would even say I'm not even trying to make sure I have a ton of a following or anything like that. But I've even had creators from reputable news outlets. Like I won't even mention the news outlet, but like, and I mean, if I said the name, everybody would be like, wait, what? Like I've even had creators from reputable news outlets straight up dog me like I was this big, and in a
Yeah.
public setting. And the only person that like really caught on to it, I don't want to say because I don't want people going back and trying to search for it, because I don't delete anything. If I say
Right.
something, I meant it. It is what it
Right.
is. But
Absolutely.
and I remember getting a message from the other creator, my buddy, and they were like, "Hey, like, did you take it? Like, did it?" And I'm like, "Dude, just let it go. It is what it is. That person has shown their true color, so respect it from afar." And I
Yep.
stopped following,
Yep.
that particular news outlet, and that particular news outlet, unfortunately, is no longer around. So,
Wow.
yep.
Wow.
I look at it from the perspective of like, at the end of the day, we're all human.
You're
Whether
trying.
you got millions of
Absolutely.
subscribers, whether you have
Absolutely.
2 subscribers, like we're all human. At the end of the day, man, if I can do something to help somebody, I should
Mhm.
do that because it's the right thing, not
Absolutely.
because there's necessarily needs to be something involved in it for me, like, nah.
Right.
If somebody
Right.
asks something of me and I can do it and I can help them, I'm gonna do it. It's just what it is.
Exactly. Exactly. So I had a question,
Let's
and
do it.
you already kind of answered it.
Okay.
Team Apple or Team Android?
Oh wow. It's been a while since I got asked that. I'm gonna I won't be controversial. I won't be controversial.
Okay.
I will
Okay.
say my primary devices, I'm on Team Android. That
Yep.
doesn't Now, I will preface that by saying it doesn't mean that I will never buy Apple products.
Right.
I have a love-hate relationship with Apple, and I'm pretty sure most people do.
Yeah.
And I know people that even feel the same way I do. The thing that frustrates me with Apple is the fact, and I know we're right now, I'm just going to be talking from the user side, not so much from the
Yeah.
business side, because from a business side, they're doing everything that they should be doing. Right?
Yes.
Doing less and making more money. As a
Yeah.
business, that's what you want to do. Do
Right.
less, put in less effort, and make more profit. So, from business perspective, I can't knock them. But from the consumer, the futurist, the techie in me is definitely not happy with them.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it's not because I think any of their products are inherently bad. I don't think Apple makes a product that I would say, yo, that is bad, like
Right.
bad. People might try to say, oh, Vision Pro is this, it's a flop. It's
Right.
because something doesn't sell well, doesn't mean it's a bad product, is in my
Exactly.
opinion.
Exactly.
Because we have import devices that obviously don't sell well here in the
Yep.
States or pretty much anywhere else. And they're some of the best phones that you'll ever get a chance to try.
Right.
But for me, my issue with Apple is that they don't realize their potential. When you own that level of vertical integration, meaning like the software side and the hardware side
Yeah.
together, I
Yeah.
personally feel like it is your duty to kind of be pushing the needle. And I'm just as loud advocating the same for Google too, because Google's kind of now stepping in that same boat with, you own the chip and you own the software. We should be
Mhm.
absolutely pushing towards them making the best phone that they
Yep.
can make.
Yep.
Not just the best phone to lock you into their ecosystem, the absolute best phone. And I personally feel like Apple no longer is interested in doing that. I
Yeah.
also feel like Samsung isn't interested in doing that either. But I digress.
Ooh.
I digress. I
Ooh.
digress. I know, a little spicy, but
Man.
a little
So
spicy.
so what Android do you like the most right now?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I will say for me, I'm way more like brand agnostic than most people. Most people will typically like settle into something
Mhm.
excuse me, I had to cough. Most people
Oh,
will
no
kind of
problem.
like settle into something. Me personally, I'm totally fine with bouncing around with whatever suits my needs. Like
Right.
right now, I'm running the OnePlus 13, and I
Okay.
put my SIM in it. I got it, I want to say about a week or so ago, and my SIM hasn't
Ooh,
left it. Before that, I was using the 9 Pro XL. I still have my 9 Pro Fold. I had an
ooh,
S24 Ultra last year, like right up until the 9 Pro XL came out. So
yeah.
for me, I typically bounce around to everything, just to
Mhm.
kind of get a feel for everything.
Right.
Every Android device has its pros and cons.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say right now I'm liking the OnePlus the best because I'm still in
Mm.
honeymoon phase. I'm still very
Okay.
much in the honeymoon phase, but it's been a long time since I put my SIM in something, and I
Yep.
have been like, obviously the phone has its faults, but
Absolutely.
everything that I need from a phone and that I want in a phone, it does it. And it does it very, very well. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time since it's been like that. Even with Pixel, because Pixel still don't have some of those more pro level productivity features like, floating windows and just better multitasking and stuff like that, which is stuff that I use regularly. I use every
Right.
single day.
Right.
So for me, it's been a while since I've had a phone that kind of checks off all the boxes.
Right.
And I mean, so far, the 13 is kind of ticking off most of those boxes. So I would
Well,
say for right now, the 13 is where it's at. Typically, I'm known to be a Pixel guy. I do love Pixel software, and I'm even feeling their
mhm.
hardware this year. Again, for me, I just need Google to really add some of those productivity features. It looks like they might be gearing up to do it, but that's the one thing that's missing from the Pixel, in my opinion. It's a little too
Yeah.
simple, a little too close to iOS in terms of like not having some of those features. But for
Absolutely.
me, man, if Apple came out tomorrow and was like, bro, iOS 19, split screen multitasking, floating windows, bro, I would immediately start
Yes.
doing another take out an iPhone.
Yeah.
So it's really not anything specifically that stops me from going anywhere. I just
Mhm.
look for the device that has everything that I personally want in a phone, and I just
Need and
rock and
right.
roll from there, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's fair. I hate to say it.
Mhm.
I've always had an iPhone. It's always been, my comfort zone, so to
Yeah.
speak. You know, and I think, and I think you'll agree. If you have multiple products from one company, it makes it even harder to switch.
100%. And that is one of the things, like I was talking to Tech King Mike on Twitter. We were talking about, because I told him, I finally got outside of the Apple ecosystem. Like for my personal use, I don't use any Apple products. For work, I use a Windows PC. I
Okay.
obviously game on PC, so I have Windows PCs around the house for that. When it comes to my wife, she owns an iPhone and an Apple Watch, and my daughter has an iPad. That's the extent of Apple products in my house. And
Yep.
again, it's not anything against them personally. I think if the ecosystem play is your jam, because there's some people who value the like ecosystem type features over having that larger camera sensor or over
Yeah.
having that bigger, physically bigger battery or something like that. So I would never say, hate to say it, based off of what works for you. If the
Mhm.
Apple ecosystem, man, is what works for you and that's your jam, then shoot, rock on out with it. Go
Yeah.
back to your comfort zone. I think for me, there's a difference between like someone who's like a diehard fan, this works for them, it's ingrained in their workflow, and a
Mhm.
fanboy. Fanboys don't see any issue with the brand, right? But when you can
Mhm.
acknowledge that a brand has issues and things that need to be
Ah, dude,
fixed, it does, you can still
nobody's
like them.
perfect.
And exactly. And that's how I see it. Like even OnePlus, like I'm loving this phone, but this
Yeah.
phone's it's not perfect, and even OnePlus themselves are not perfect, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
I would personally say, it doesn't matter what you use as long
I
as it works for you.
Yeah. I would honestly love to get um a Pixel.
Hmm.
Um and I would even say I'm Portuguese,
Hmm.
and I have a lot of family in Portugal. So I would even say something like a Huawei.
Mm.
Because Huawei, I don't know, man. Like I've seen a lot of people over there
Mhm.
talking great things about it. And it's just different from what we have here.
I
You know
love
what
that
I
they
mean?
that they get a taste of that. And I think that's what I know I've been talking about the OnePlus a lot, but I think that's what draws me to this device as much as it does, because it gives us a little bit of that taste of some of the stuff that the import devices or non-domestic phones get that we don't get access to here in the States, right? Like,
Yeah,
I hate
yeah,
to sound like, Juan, some gadget guy, but when you get your hands on true fast charging, like, I mean, like, and
yeah,
I'll just give you an example. Just this morning, I actually took a day off in the middle of the week. But like just this morning, like I forgot to charge my phone. I fell asleep with it in the bed with me, doom scrolling. Oh, doom scrolling until I fall
yeah.
asleep,
Been there.
like we all do. So I fell asleep with the phone in the bed with me. I wake up with like 12%. And I gotta get up, kids gotta be where they gotta be at, all that stuff. I don't have time to sit around for an hour. I literally got up, plugged my phone into the charger that comes in the box, plug my phone up to the charger. In 30 minutes, which is about what it would take for me to get the kids ready and get ready to get out the door, my phone's darn near fully charged. Like once you get a hold of that type of stuff, it
Yeah,
makes it very,
yeah,
very, 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 very difficult to
yeah,
not have those features, right?
yeah.
So I
I,
think that's what makes me pivot to OnePlus a little bit.
yeah, I kind of wish that iPhone had. Not gonna say they don't have great battery. They do, but there's definitely better on the Android side, and I feel that iPhone really needs to work to get to not that same level, but
Mhm.
close to it,
Yeah,
because
and
I'd love to leave my house and not have to worry about grabbing a portable charger.
a battery
Um,
bank or something.
yeah,
Yeah. And I feel that 100%. And I will say, like, at least in my usage, like I didn't own, I haven't tried the 16 Pro Max. So I don't know if the battery is a little bit different
because
on that one. But like I had a 15 Pro Max. And I mean the battery life on iPhones have for me have always been pretty good. Like have always
yeah,
been pretty good. But I look at it from the standpoint of, okay, from a thickness perspective, the iPhone is sometimes thicker than
mhm,
something like this, the
mhm,
OnePlus 13, some of the
yep,
other non-domestic phones.
and
Yet,
especially with certain cases too.
especially with certain cases. So for me, it's like instead of trying to focus on how we're hearing about them trying to make this super thin device, instead of
Mhm,
focusing on making it thinner, continue to work on shrinking some of the other components and leaving it the same thickness and stuff in the battery. Like
yeah,
I really, and this isn't just for Apple, this is for everybody. Like I really want to get out of this mindset of like ultra tier devices having to be still like slim and super, for lack of a better way of saying it, sexy. Like if
yep,
it's an ultra
yep,
phone, I'm expecting function over form to the highest
yep,
degree. I'm
yep,
expecting massive camera bumps. I'm expecting massive batteries. I'm
yep,
expecting, super fast charging because this is the max, the ultra, the big boy.
yeah,
So I'm kind
exactly,
of down for people stop making things so thin and light. I'm okay with having a little bit of heft if it means I got a 6,000 milliamp hour battery,
exactly,
quadruple camera setup with 1-inch sensors and all
dude,
that other good stuff. But
yeah.
I digress.
What so I used to ask, I don't ask this question as
Mhm.
often as I should, but if you were a CEO of a company
Okay.
and you wanted to make a phone, what
Mhm.
components from other companies out there would you use?
Ooh, I like this. I get to make a dream phone. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just gonna look at the OnePlus 13 to kind of get an idea of like what components where. So screen, give honestly, and I might catch some flack for this. Give me the screen on the S25 Ultra. I'm a huge fan
Uh,
of that anti-reflective coating, and I
yes,
hear, I
yes,
hear, I hear it's supposedly even better than it was last year. Because I had the S24, that anti-reflective screen was absolute fire. Love it. I want
yeah,
it on everything. I want it on
yes,
everything.
yeah,
So I would take the screen from the S25 Ultra. Design, I might would have to go. design is a toughie because
Mm.
design is like really, really subjective.
Yeah.
I'm really, really
Yeah.
big on the Pixel 9 Pro's design. But
Ooh,
I
okay.
do like the design on the OnePlus 13. I'll pop my case off. I have the midnight blue, the little halo
Oh,
color,
okay.
and this like kind of weird microfiber leather.
Ooh.
It's really, really good, man. So for
Damn,
the
why do you have
design,
a case on that,
I
man?
know. See, but I have to have a case because MagSafe. I can't
Oh,
not do
gotcha.
MagSafe. I gotta
Yep.
have. I have MagSafe at my nightstand in my car. I'm a MagSafe guy personally.
Okay.
So I use MagSafe cases with everything. But if I had to say, I would say display from the S25 Ultra. But like rear backing, give me something crazy like the Xiaomi or the Vivo because I like big blocky or not big blocky, but big circular camera housings with big
Yeah.
sensors on the back. So give me like the back from a Vivo or a Xiaomi or an Oppo. Obviously, I want the little mute switch from the iPhone
Absolutely.
or from the OnePlus because they both have it.
Oh, okay.
Fingerprint sensor, give me the ultrasonic 3D Max. I think the iQOO had that a couple years ago. Nobody else has done that. For cameras. Give me the Vivo X200 Pro's camera setup. Maybe
Oh.
the Ultra, but we haven't seen the
Ooh.
Ultra yet. Vivo
Yeah.
X200 Pro's camera system, a Snapdragon 8 Elite for my processor of choice. I know, surprising. Even though I'm a Pixel guy.
Absolutely.
I love Tensor. But
Yeah.
that 8 Elite is a problem. So give
Yeah.
me the 8 Elite. Give me the 8 Elite. What else is there? I think that might be for the most part it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously at top of the line specs, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 storage. Vivo
You're the
X200
max, man.
Pro camera. Yeah, Vivo X200 Pro cameras. For the display, I said the Samsung S25.
Yep.
Selfie camera, actually, give me the selfie from the Pixel. That 9 Pro XL's selfie camera is the best that I've personally used, even better than the OnePlus here.
I think Pixel.
Software.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's very hard. I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but
Uh-oh.
software, I'm gonna say, can I combine software? Like, can I say,
Absolutely.
okay, I can? Okay, cool. Let me get I would say Oxygen OS, and I'll explain why after I give you the two that I would combine. I would say give me the Pixels speed, like just the overall speed,
Hmm.
and give me the feature set, like the software feature set from One UI. I think One
Okay.
UI is still the most jam-packed feature
Yeah.
set software-wise on anything,
Yeah.
personally. And the reason I said I was thinking Oxygen OS is because that kind of feels like a good blend of the two. Like
Yeah.
you don't get quite as much of like the customization and software features as like Samsung, but you get
Oh,
enough of that stuff. But you
right.
also still keep the speed and the fluidity from a Pixel
Yep.
with Oxygen OS. So I would say Oxygen OS is probably like a good hybrid.
Hmm.
But I would say if I'm making my dream phone kind of thing,
Hmm.
give me the Pixel experience with One UI's multitasking features, and I would be a happy camper. You can, and whoever decides to make that phone, I don't care how much you charge. You could charge $2,500. Here's my credit card.
Yeah. That. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm buying it day one. I'm
That's
buying it day one. And there's very few phones that I feel like are day one. Like OnePlus Open
yeah.
2, that's probably a day one. The day Apple makes a Z Fold style foldable, I'm
Yeah.
buying one day one. And
Man,
yeah, probably
I
those.
hate
And,
to say it.
Samsung Trifold. That one might be a day one too.
I hate to say it, but I feel like I mean I haven't really experienced it,
Mm-hmm.
but um I would really love to see what Apple would do with the fold, especially the trifold.
Oh, yeah,
Actually, if they were
yeah.
to make a trifold, that would be like something out of this
I
world.
need them to just get a daggone fold out. Like, just give me a fold.
Yeah,
And the reason, and I
yeah.
know a lot of people are like, oh, but the Samsung will probably still be better, or this company will probably still be better. And I would agree with that. I would agree
Mhm.
with that. But the one thing that Apple has as an advantage that no one on the Android side has is the app support. They already
Yes.
have
Yes.
far more tablet. And when I say app support, I don't mean like, oh, Snapchat is slightly better optimized for iOS. That I don't care about. Like, one, I don't use Snapchat, but even if I did, like, the difference, man, I'm not tripping off of that. I'm talking more so about having tablet ready applications. Like, they
Yep.
already have a ton of applications that are already
Mm,
optimized for the iPad specifically. So I
yep.
would love to see those on a foldable. Like, give me iPad OS on the inside, cover screen, iOS, and I'd be a happy camper.
So you would say you're more of a foldable than a flip?
Foldable than flip, absolutely. I've yet
Yeah.
to own a flip. For me, they just don't really appeal to me. I'm
Yeah.
in the camp of like, I've never wanted this to fold into something smaller, because if
Mhm.
it does, I'm just gonna end up opening it for everything, you know?
Yeah.
Because and
Yeah.
I mean, like on like the Motorola and some of the other ones, you could do
Yeah.
a lot on the cover screen. But for
Mhm.
me, man, with something that small, like this isn't unwieldy enough that I can't just pull it out of my pocket and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm gonna go fold,
See,
I'm going to go fold. Like no
yeah.
flip for me, all fold.
Yeah. See, that's and I mean, I guess I'm still like in the mindset of like the first generations of the Samsung
Mm-hmm.
foldable with that little screen on the outside, and
Yeah.
like for me that would not
Yeah,
work
no,
out,
same.
you know?
And to be fair, that's why I didn't pick up a Z Fold 6. Like they made it a little bit bigger, but it's just still a bit too narrow for me.
Yeah.
And for me, like I've tried foldables, like import foldables. So
Hmm.
I got real used to that bigger screen real quick. So for me, it wasn't even an option. Like I
Oh,
went from like the Vivo X Fold, the first one that they put out,
hmm.
to a Samsung, and then immediately to the OnePlus Open, and
Hmm.
then the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is the fold that I have right now. Because I try to keep one slab, one fold. So when I'm kind of
Gotcha.
getting bored, I can
Gotcha.
switch it up and freshen it up a bit.
See,
But
and maybe I'm like, I try not to be like, old school, I guess,
mhm.
but like I wanna take out my phone and just be able to use it, like, not have to open it and
Yep.
this and that, but at the same time, with certain tasks, like, for me, I'm completely iPhone, so my camera, when I record my videos, is the
Mhm.
iPhone. I do everything, record, edit, and stuff like that, so, like, for on the go stuff, yeah,
Mhm.
if I had a foldable, I think that would be, ideal for,
Like, and
that
one of the
that
workflows that I love that Apple, and it's such a miss out, and it's an intentional missed opportunity on Apple's part because they don't want to cannibalize iPad sales. And again,
Mhm.
business, it makes sense, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining a workflow where you could record in ProRes on the go with your foldable iPhone. You get on like a subway or a bus, or
Mhm.
you're in the passenger seat on the way home from like a video shoot or something. You unfold it and you're editing in iMovie or LumaFusion
Yep.
right there on the
Yep.
foldable, and you upload it from the foldable. Like, and I mean, on the Android side, like we
Yeah.
already have that workflow because we have LumaFusion now, and you can upload from anything these days.
Right.
So for
Right.
me, man, like I'm really waiting to see like Apple take advantage of that, because I know once Apple throws their hat in the ring, and it's nothing to foldables on the
I
Android
agree.
side, but we all, no matter how much we hate it, because I hate it, but no
Yep.
matter how much we hate it, we know when Apple sets foot in a new space, that's when developers typically start to pay attention. Because
Yeah.
we've had foldables on the Android side for almost a decade at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
and still trying to get some developers to update their apps is like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
So I'm
You know,
really looking
it
forward to seeing an iPhone Fold.
it really, I follow. I'm not sure how much you follow leaks and rumors and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I really don't. I don't cover it on my channel or anything.
Yeah.
But I see things from like Mac rumors and stuff
Mhm.
that Apple's working on stuff. One thing that I was really, really hoping for was the oh my god, what the heck? What do they call it? Air power.
Oh,
that that
yes.
that
Yeah.
charger that they
Yeah.
did. However, I think that, and don't attack me for this, but I think that honestly, the MagSafe, the foldable one that they have, the
Mhm.
trifold, man, dude, the MagSafe Duo, it's called. Um, Honestly, I think that was one of the best routes that they could have gone for,
Yeah.
because I feel like for on the go, that's so much better than what
It's
AirPower was gonna
convenient.
do.
It's convenient. Like, cause
You know?
and we could talk a little bit about MagSafe because when I say
Yeah.
MagSafe, Pataka Mag Easy Vent in the car. I have an ESR 5-in-1, not 3-in-1,
Ooh.
5-in-1 charger on
Ooh.
my nightstand. So my phone goes on via MagSafe. My earbuds have a spot. I'm rocking the Pixel Watch 3 that has
Okay.
a
Okay.
spot, and I still have two more. I have a Type A and a Type C port on the side. So
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
big into MagSafe. And for me, the thing with MagSafe and why I think it overall was a better route to go is because
Mhm.
AirPower didn't enable a whole new subset of accessories. Like,
Right.
think about MagSafe.
Right.
It's more than just chargers. You got
Right.
wallets, you got camera mounts, you have
Yep.
tripod mounts, you have SSD, external SSD enclosures that people are snapping on the back and then plugging in so you record to your SSD and you don't
Mhm.
have to hold the SSD. Like, MagSafe opened up like a whole new
So yeah.
possibilities
Yeah.
of like an accessory market.
Dude, I
So
got
I'm fine with MagSafe, to be honest. Like, I was a fan of AirPower. I still think it's a dope concept, but
mhm.
I personally would never have wanted to travel with something like AirPower. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I prefer MagSafe through and through. It's
Absolutely.
convenient. Everything locks into place. You don't got to
Yep.
think about it. Because I don't know how
Exactly.
many times I've thrown my phone on like a wireless charging pad only to
Dude.
wake up in the morning and be like, crap, my phone didn't charge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
MagSafe, all the things, dog. MagSafe, all the things.
Seriously. Dude, because yeah, that was a problem because I did review and have a couple of wireless chargers, and
Hmm.
you know, especially with my Apple Watch, I feel it was a big problem. And I think that they need to do something to fix it. Because you have it on the charger and
Hmm.
then notification comes in and it vibrates and then it slides off. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like they need to do something about
Do
that.
something with it. Yeah. And I get it.
You
Like,
know?
it's probably just something that they didn't account for. But
Yeah.
Apple's typically the company that you expect for those little, like, for me, when it comes to Apple, at least in the past, I'm not going to say so much now because they've been
Mhm.
having their issues and stuff. But in the past, man, like, what drew me to Apple is it felt like they were a company that actually used their crap. Like, they
Yep.
use their
Yep.
phones because,
Yep.
like, sometimes some things will happen with certain devices and I'll be like, bro, I can't be the only person that uses this phone like this. So
Exactly.
how did the devs not catch this, or how did this get cleared to release? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
So I don't know, man. I think
But
sometimes it's a little bit of things are like iOS and even Android to some degree has gotten too big that you can't do everything kind of thing.
yes.
So
Yes. And no device is perfect. No company is
none. Yep.
perfect.
Yep.
I feel like that's a whole different conversation that like people are just like, oh, this one's better because okay, software updates. Okay.
Mhm.
I feel like I
I
had a
love this
buddy.
argument because I
Dude,
have such a controversial opinion on it, but I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna let you
yeah,
go first.
dude, I feel like so many people, like I had a buddy that had an Android, and I kept telling him, um, you know, with Apple, that they have a lot of software updates, and
Mhm,
with Android, I didn't at the time that I used it, I didn't feel like there was, a lot of updates.
mhm,
And so much so that I feel like Apple, yes, they do these like point one, point two updates.
mhm.
And yeah, nothing's perfect. We're still gonna get bugs, but that's with everything. I really feel though, that Apple, again, they don't like, perfect everything,
Mhm.
but they give updates and they clear a lot of bugs. And I just feel like they're just that's the thing for me. I feel like
Mhm.
you need to refresh and update your devices to fix things and to, you know, um, make things a little bit more smoother.
Yeah, polish
Um,
and refinement.
yeah, yeah. Like honestly, so what like when my buddy said, "Oh, I don't want to be updating my phone every other day," I'm just like, "Man, that's not the
And to
case."
be honest, and even like on the Apple side, because I kind of watch both, like
Mhm,
they're not updating every other day. And Android, at least now, is to the point where most of like the major players, you're getting
mhm.
updates like I would say at least once a month, like at
Yeah,
least once a month. Like Samsung, you're pretty much guaranteed that monthly security patch. OnePlus is pretty good about once a month too. They might be, a little bit delayed or sometimes or whatever. I have had that happen, but
yeah,
typically once a month from them, and Google is once a month as well. So I feel like once a month is about that sweet spot, but
yeah.
to kind of give my controversial side to that. So
Okay.
what you said about updates, I agree with all of that.
Yeah,
Where updates, where I hear people and it makes me cringe is where I hear people say you should choose phone X because you're getting more years of software updates. That does a little bit make me cringe. And I know that is a very unpopular take and a very
yeah,
unpopular opinion. For
yeah.
me, and I'll explain it as brief as I can. For me, when it comes to software updates, like the security patches, we can make the argument for. Like I would agree, because you're trying
Yeah.
to keep your device secure. People don't want your stuff getting hacked. Me personally, I ain't that important to worry about people hacking me because all you're gonna do is hack some debt. But it
Yep.
is what it is.
Yep.
But either way, back to the point. For me, I don't keep devices very long. I upgrade pretty much everything at least once a year.
Yep.
Except for like watching earbuds and stuff. But like phones, my phone is the most intimate piece of electronic that I own. It has everything. It has
Yep.
things about me that other people don't know, like social security number, banking information, kids' birthdays, information about my wife, tax information. Because I literally did my taxes from my phone this year. It was
Yep.
that easy. So for me, when it comes to phones and like software updates, man, like most people generally do keep their phones for, I would say, about 3 to 4 years. So 3 to 4 years is good. And the people who are like super adamant about like the 7 years of updates and this and that and the third, that only really applies to like folks like my mom and my dad who are going to keep a phone until the wheels fall off. And to be
Right.
fair,
Yeah.
like once we start talking about those average consumers, they
Yeah.
rarely want to go in and update their phones anyway because they're afraid
Yeah.
the update's gonna break something. Like
Yes.
I had to talk my father-in-law into updating his iPhone SE so he could have RCS. He's like, I'm not updating my phone. I don't want it to break my phone. My son, his mom, who they live in Texas, she held off from updating her phone. And you know me, I'm a tech guy telling her it's
Yeah.
okay. And she still was like, no, I'm not updating because every time I update my phone, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So the whole
I had to.
argument about the 7 year thing for me has never been a buying point. And for
Right.
anybody in my immediate family, because like my
Right.
dad, he's rocking a Pixel 6 right now. I can tell you when that thing stops getting updates, he's not gonna be like, oh, I need to get a new phone. He's just gonna
Yeah.
keep using his Pixel 6 and keep it moving. Like
Yeah.
the whole update thing for me is a little overrated, to be
For
fair. To
me,
be fair.
yeah. For me, um, I I even update my whole family's phones
I
because
need to start
you
doing that, taking it and doing
know,
it.
dude, I just think, dude, sometimes my mom was like, "Why is this up?" Because like
Yeah.
after it updates, it says, "Okay, now you're on this."
Oh, you're on whatever the new version is. Yeah.
And I'm like, I might have done that for you because I know you're not going to.
See, my wife would be like,
Because
nope.
honestly, and for me, like if somebody were to ask me, "Hey, how do I do this?" I want to
Mhm.
be on that same software. That way I know where to go and how
You
to
can
go about
walk them
things.
through it. Like, okay,
Yeah,
go here, and y'all are following
because
along together.
honestly, even these little updates, you know, the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, they change some settings around sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so that's why I even tell my family, I'm like, that's really the only reason I'm doing it for you guys is because if you guys ask me something,
run into trouble.
and now they have it. So I didn't know this, and so like I don't know, probably about 2-3 months ago, maybe I did and I just forgot. I had somebody ask me how to do something on their phone, and I'm like, all right, share the screen. I didn't know that you could click one button and actually control their device.
You can take over now. Yeah.
Dude, I'm
It
like,
is the most clutch feature.
So she's like, oh, okay, how do I do this? And I'm like, all right, go here. Oh, I don't see that. And I'm like, I'm looking right at it. I can see
like
it.
I see it's there.
I'm like, you know what? Let me take over.
Let me take
and then
control.
She's like, are you hacking my phone?
See? And that's the type of stuff that I will say, like, that's the type of features and stuff we should be getting in tech. Like things that seem like, why wasn't this here before? Like, how did we ever, like, because when you think about it, like social media, how did we ever live without social media for the good parts of it and for the bad? Because there's a lot of bad, but there's also some good, being able to keep in touch with people halfway across the world at a moment's notice and not have to call, because sometimes in other countries, they don't have unlimited minutes. They don't have unlimited data to do FaceTiming and all that stuff. So I like the fact that you do see a lot of those type of features with like Apple. I think Google has that now with Google Meet, where it kind of saves us the IT department for our families, you know, a little bit of work. I can just take over, do what I need to do. All right, you're good to go.
Dude, but you know what? At the same time, I feel bad for companies, and this is a throwback. I feel bad for like companies that had like Team Viewer and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Zoom,
like like I feel bad for those companies that had these tools already, and because they're being implemented straight into our devices, we're no longer using them.
And I used to feel that way too about I don't know how far back with iOS you go, but the jailbreak scene, it used to always feel like every year in the new iOS update, we'd get more features from the jailbreak scene.
Yeah,
and it's like
I never jailbroke my phone.
You didn't jailbreak? I used to. I used to jail. I'm one of those guys where, like, if I can, you know, jailbreak or root and get some extra functionality, I'll do it. Like my 9 Pro XL, I actually had it rooted and I was running a custom ROM with a custom kernel. Like I was in my throwback tinker mode with it. And I had floating windows. I had the Pixel Fold taskbar on my slab. Like, it was great. It was great. It got to the point where it wasn't necessarily the most stable, which is why I had to kind of revert back. But I'm the type of user, man. Like, I don't mind sitting down and tinkering a little bit. Like, I don't mind doing that stuff. But a lot of the times for me, it ends up just leading further to my frustration of like, why is this not already here? Like floating windows, why doesn't Google already has that? Split screen multitasking, why doesn't Apple already have that? Like stuff that should be like no brainers. It's like,
dude, I had, and back when my friend that I was talking about earlier was on, so now he actually is on Apple. He decided he heard so much shit from me that he was just like, all right, I gotta try this out. And guess what? Now he loves it, and now he has everything on the Apple ecosystem. I'm like,
and that's the thing, like, and that's why for somebody like me, like, I'm big with the, I mean, I'm a thoroughbred nerd. Like, like collectibles, Infinity Gauntlet at my desk at work. Like, I'm a nerd. So for me, being a power user, like, an iPhone may not be the best fit for me, but I will be the first. Like my wife, for example, she's on a 14 Pro Max right now. When she was going to get her phone, I was on whatever the Note that year was. I want to say like maybe like the Note. No, not the Note. I was on whatever S Ultra was out that year. And instead of putting her on an Android device so we could have RCS, I was like,
Yeah.
no, go get an iPhone. That's going to be the best device for what you use your phone for. A
Right.
bunch of social media crap,
Right.
and you want to have good battery life. She
And
had
we
a
finally have our CS. So
and we have RCS. So now there's even less of an incentive for me to move her anywhere. So,
yeah,
for me, I'm always about like try to get
whatever you're
people in the
comfortable with.
phones that make the most sense for them. And I know some people will make an argument like, oh, you could put her on a, cheaper Pixel A series or something
Mhm.
like that. But
Mhm.
also most of her family has iPhones too. So if
Yeah.
I can tell her to go just get an iPhone and make that bridge even easier for
Yep.
her, because we didn't obviously have RCS at the time.
Right.
Then I'm gonna do that. Like I'm not so selfish that I'll be like, well, we need to have RCS, forget about everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
and now that we have it, I don't care what. If I ask her, I'm like, babe, like, do you have any interest in, moving? And I always let her, like, I'm like, hey, check this out. Look at this
Yeah.
feature. Look at that. And 99.9% of the time, she's like, that's cool. And she
Yeah.
keeps it right on moving with her iPhone. So
Yeah.
for some people, man, like
That's
the iPhone and the Apple ecosystem, it just works fine for them. And she's one
yeah.
of those people. So instead of having to deal with all the IT issues I would have trying to switch her to Android, keep her right where she's
Yeah.
comfortable.
Forget it.
Keep her right
Forget
where
it.
she's comfortable, man.
Man, it is what it is at this point, and I feel like for the most part, a lot of things, yes, they're coming years later, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we're getting a lot of that Android
I would
esque,
agree.
you know.
I would
Uh,
agree.
I honestly think that slowly but surely, and I've said this before, and I don't know if you're gonna agree, but I feel like every phone is going to essentially be the same. The only thing that's gonna be different is gonna be the software.
Yep. I
Uh,
agree. And the funny part is we were just talking about the person that really made me start thinking about what you just said from that perspective. We were just
yep,
talking about him, Talos of Tech.
yep,
He,
yep.
he was talking about that years ago,
Yeah,
where it was like,
yeah,
bro, you're gonna look at the back of most of these phones. Now, I will give you, you have devices like this with these massive camera housings on the back because they're trying to fit bigger sensors and that kind of stuff. You'll
yeah,
still have that. But
yeah,
like when it push come to shove, when you look at these phones from the front, if I literally turn the always on display off and just handed somebody this phone, they wouldn't know if this was a Pixel, if it was a Galaxy Plus, or
exactly.
whatever. And that for me is okay because I think slabs at their peak is just a fundamental shade of or sheet of glass. We
Yeah,
won't worry
yeah,
about the camera
absolutely.
cutouts or whatever. Like you said, it'll literally be the software that differentiates your experience. Because I honestly
Seriously.
feel like we're already there. I
Oh
feel like
yeah,
we're already there. Cameras on most phones are good. The OnePlus has
yep,
a great camera. Samsung has a great camera. Google has a great camera. Apple has a great camera. You got some ultra tier cameras, coming out of China,
right.
but most phones now, like I was just telling my wife this, and I was like, babe, you really have to try to go find a bad phone. You have to
Mhm,
try. Like
mhm,
for us
mhm.
as the tech community to complain about the
Yeah,
lack of updates and how everything is so iterative, it just goes to show how good our phones have gotten
yep,
when somebody can say, hey, this small computer that I can fit in my pocket that literally has the world's wealth of information at my fingertips is
mhm,
boring.
yep,
It shows you how far we've really come in not a long period of time, bro. It's been less than 20 years since
yeah.
the first iPhone came out, and look at how far we are. So
That
as
it's
as a
crazy.
futurist, it makes me so excited to see the next 15 years, and what we're gonna have in stuff like that, man.
Yeah,
Regardless of who it comes from. I don't care if it comes from
absolutely.
Facebook, Apple, Google, Samsung, Xiaomi,
Yeah,
Vivo, whoever it comes from, man. I'm just a fan of dope tech. I might can't buy it all, but
yeah.
I'm just a fan of dope tech, man. A fan of dope tech, straight
One
up through and
thing,
through.
one thing that I kind of wish is that I feel like, eh, and I feel like this is for every phone. Cameras are getting bigger and bigger and
Mm-hmm.
bigger by the year.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the Samsung Galaxy S25, and I'm just like, bruh,
The
like
camera rings.
the camera rings are so like
Yeah.
They, if you think they stuck out last year, they're really sticking
Yeah,
out
I
this
got a
year.
chance to go check one out at Best Buy not too long ago, and I was like, because I'm in my thought like, okay, I went with the 13, but let me go to the
Yeah,
store, check this out, see if I need to pick up a S25 as well, just to kind of get a
yeah,
feel for that. And I mean, I came away, still very much impressed. I mean, it literally is an S24 Ultra, just more polished and refined. And
right,
I'm gonna be honest,
right.
like for those who are upgrading from like a 21, a 22, maybe even a 23 in some instances, like I envy you, man, because you're
Yeah,
getting such a massive upgrade. Like you're gonna
absolutely,
feel that. Like when my wife
absolutely.
does finally go to upgrade her iPhone, like I don't know if we're gonna do it this year, maybe next year, depending on what they do.
Hmm.
She's gonna feel like she got a new phone, and that I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
personally will say I miss that. And that's why I've kind of
yeah.
been bouncing between everything. Like this year, I went OnePlus. Next year, I might go Samsung instead of going OnePlus, depending on what Samsung does.
Right.
But I like to freshen things up because I like to buy stuff and feel like I'm getting something new, something
Yep.
fresh, man.
Yep.
If you're someone who's just sticking with the same brand and you're upgrading every year, well, the issue isn't the fact that the issue isn't the fact that the brand is kind of stagnant. I mean, they might be stagnant, but the
Right.
real issue is that
Right.
you're trying to upgrade too early. You shouldn't be. No one should realistically be upgrading every year.
Oh, absolutely.
We're all just addicts at this point, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. Um, is there any questions that you would like to ask me before we
Ooh,
end?
ooh. I will ask you one question. What
All right.
is your most anticipated piece of tech this year? It doesn't have to be something that you're necessarily going to be able to buy. I know for
Mm,
me last year, my answer was Vision Pro. I was really
yeah,
excited to see how that
yeah.
all shaped out. I still am waiting for my kid to get here from Texas so we can go test one out. I promised him I'd wait for him because he's
Oh,
an Apple fanboy through and through. Apple
really?
can do no wrong. But I'm really looking forward to trying out the Vision Pro, man. Like I've tried out the
Yeah,
Meta Quest and all that stuff, but I really want to try out the Vision Pro. That was mine last year, but what is
yeah.
yours this year? What is yours this year?
Honestly, I think it's the next version of Vision Pro.
Next version of Vision Pro?
Yeah, or even if, and I mean, they've been off and on with it, but if they were to make some sort of regular glasses, I think that would be
That's
really cool. Um,
that one for and before I'm sorry to cut you. I keep cutting you off.
no, no,
Real
no.
quick on the glasses part. I'm probably gonna invest in those ones that they're showing off at CES with the heads-up display.
Yeah,
That interests me for where we are, because where we are in
really.
tech, we're I would say at least like a decade away from like full-blown Vision Pro, but real glasses.
Yep,
I know
yep,
Android XR, they're talking about trying to do real glasses. I personally feel
good.
like we're years away from that.
Yep,
But right now, all I want is a normal pair of glasses that has a heads up display and
yep,
that can either I can clip the sunglasses part because I'm a sunglasses wearer. So
yep.
either I can clip the sunglasses part or transition lenses. But
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna invest in something like that
What
this year. I'm
what
really interested.
what are your thoughts on the Android XR stuff?
Ooh, yeah. Let's talk about this real quick. So I'm super excited. I'm super excited. I'm excited of the possibilities, right?
Hmm.
I always try to think of like, okay, how could this product work for like regular users, even for someone I wouldn't count myself as a regular user, but like for me,
Yeah.
right? So for me, like me and my wife, we do our little binge TV sessions. She's really big into certain shows that I'm not the biggest fan of.
Right.
Instead of having to hold a tablet or whatever, just put on XR. You got pass
Yep.
through
Yep.
right above my normal TV with her show. I can have the game on. I'm watching a game on a 50-inch display, just hovering there in space. So
Dude, that
for
would be awesome.
stuff like that, and then
That,
even if you want to look at the more practical side, like I got a buddy who's now like coming more into tech, and
mhm.
he's a mechanic. He was like, dude, I could literally pull up a video on how to do a particular, mechanic thing for his car, like how to change my oil is the
Mhm.
one that my wife brought up. She's like, I could ask how to change my oil, get a YouTube video. The YouTube video is floating there in space. I got the glasses on and I'm changing my oil.
Yeah,
So, you
exactly.
know, stuff like that type of stuff excites me about tech. Excites
Yeah.
me about tech. Because me and her had the glasses conversation a while back. And that was the big thing for her. She kept thinking of it in a sense of like, I gotta wear this big thing on my face all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, baby,
And a lot of people-
no. Yeah, and I'm like, baby, no. This is just the first step. This is us trying to get there. But imagine this, but in a normal pair of glasses. She was like, okay, I can see it now.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on pricing?
That's the tough part for me because honestly, there was two things stopping me from getting a Vision Pro. One was the ecosystem play. I don't have any, any Apple products. So it's kind of no reason for me to pick up a Vision Pro. The second was the price. It's just too expensive. I am cautiously and very worried about pricing. I'm honestly thinking maybe $2,000 for Samsung's version is kind of where my bet is. $2,000. At that price, and if they offer some trade-ins or something, I don't know how they would do it, but maybe then I could go ahead and pick one up. But I think pricing obviously has to come way down, like way down.
Absolutely.
For this to be adopted by the masses. But I think right now they're just working on getting something out to start testing this stuff in real world environments, getting user feedback, that type of stuff. But I haven't been this excited about a new product class since we got smartphones, to be honest. Like watches were big. I was a Pebble guy. I rocked the Pebble. Watches were big. Tablets were big, but I think this XR race that they're doing now, I think that has the potential to be like the next iPhone type of thing. Like how when the iPhone came out, the world changed. I think XR has the potential to do that too. I really am a believer in that. Now we got to get there, and in order for us to get there, we got to build the foundation, which is why I'm big on like the little heads-up display glasses and stuff like that, because we got to get there. We can't run before we can walk. So you know, we got to build that foundation first.
What do you think they could learn from now, good or bad? What do you think they could learn to perfect their version of the Android XR from like Apple Vision Pro? And
like kind of learning from certain things that the Apple Vision Pro did. I got a couple actually. So one, and I think Samsung's already thinking about this because Google's doing the software, but Samsung's actually building the thing. So Samsung's going to be who you buy it from the most part, but they're already talking about pricing. That was one of the biggest concerns a lot of people brought up at CES. And that was one of the things that they quickly were like, trust me, we know we have to price this thing right. So price is one thing they got to get right. Another thing that was a concern of mine before we got wind of it was app support. One of the biggest things that I've hated about the Vision Pro's rollout is the lack of apps. I think Apple really built themselves into a corner. They kind of felt that whole where Apple developers will come to us kind of play a little bit too much, where on the Android side, they're doing it differently. This thing is running a version of Android. So all of the Android apps that already run in the Google Play Store just work natively on the headset. So I think that that's a major advantage on the Android XR side, because you're not waiting for Google to make a new YouTube app, you know, for Vision Pro. You're not waiting for Netflix to make an app. Like, you won't get all of like the cool spatial stuff, but at least you have an app that you can use until that developer comes and makes a XR version of that application. So it's like, it's almost like when we went to foldables. We didn't, it's like we didn't have the app optimization and developers had to pretty much start from square one. And Apple didn't really learn from that lesson because they don't make foldables. Whereas Google's like, oh yeah, we need to make sure all of these apps that are in the Play Store work with this headset, or else developers ain't gonna build apps for this thing. Because that's one of the Vision Pro's biggest Achilles heels is like, yeah, you can do some really cool stuff with it, but there's barely any apps for it. You know, so
Yeah.
That's kind of my only thing with that.
Right. Man, where can people find you
Oh
on the
man.
internet?
I mean, I would say for right now, man, like the uploading is definitely like at a standstill.
Yeah.
I'm not big. You'll see me online talking about anything from tech to anime to basketball because I'm big on all three. But they can always find me. It's Ike's Tech Talk, all one word, everywhere. I would say Twitter, Threads. Where else am I at? I think Instagram. I'm on there, but
Oh,
Instagram,
really?
I don't really post. I just watch funny videos, to be honest, man. But I would say Threads and Twitter are probably the two biggest places if people want to find me and follow. Like I said, I promise it won't be all tech because I am an anime nerd and I am
Man,
a basketball fanatic. So yeah,
gotta
they can
do
find
what
me on
you
Twitter
love,
and
man.
Threads.
You know
You
that's
got to. Life is too
the name
short
of the
not
game.
to. Life is too short not to, man. Life is too short not to.
Exactly. Man, it was great talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and
Mhm.
chat a little bit. And we'll hopefully chat again soon.
Dog
And
Taylor,
then
man, just real quick, I wanted to say thank you so much for having me. Like, man, it's an honor. I'm super happy to be able to come up here and talk
yeah,
about this stuff with people, man. I love doing it. Trust me, for those
dude,
who
yes.
do follow me and are because I've had people hitting me up like, when are you coming back on Thursdays? We miss you. I'm trying to cook, man. I'm trying to cook, but it is very, very tough for me right now. So I
Yeah,
will do my best, man. I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of the people, but I got to get my bag as well for the family.
exactly.
So trust and
Exactly, man.
believe. As soon as I can, I will. But Taylor, thanks again, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I had a blast, dude.
Absolutely, man. Well, guys, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one.